Okay, we are here again, Zora and I. We are happy to join you guys. I mean, nobody's here yet, but we'll we'll see you in a little bit. Um, we're having a good morning so far. We went on a nice walk today, didn't we? Yeah, and Zora's gotten really into photography, so that's pretty cool. And all in all, we have had a good morning. Okay, just made sure everything is going there.
You're not talking to anyone.
I know I'm not talking to anybody, but somebody might watch this later and they're going to be like, um, you know, why aren't they talking? So I figure we're going to do it. We'll give people a little time. I mean, it's just a couple minutes till 10 still, so people might not be ready. We jumped the gun just a couple minutes. That's how it goes. But we're going to be doing this really cool horse image.
It's on the beach.
Yes, the horse is on the beach. You guys should all have access to that. Nobody's here yet. It's all right.
Hey, look, that's me on your computer.
Yep. So maybe I will take this time if anybody does listen to this later. If there's anybody that knows anything about flutes, we're having some flute issues over here.
It broke.
Well, there's definitely something wrong. Maybe with the springs, and we think maybe there's like a pad in one of the keys that that fell and needs to be replaced. So I don't know if there's anybody out there, but it seems like all the music stores that are in San Diego are closed. And I know we're trying to keep our social distancing. We've been doing that. But she's missing her flute. She is passionate about playing flute. All right, I see we got a couple folks that have joined.
Yeah.
So I will end my plea for flute help, and we'll get into this. Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Let's just see if we can see who's here. But we're going to mute that. Okay, well, can't figure it out. That's all right. All right, so here we are. We're going to get ready. We're going to do this awesome horse picture. I'm just going to bring it up. There it is. Here we go. Whenever we start a piece like this, I guess I got to flip the phone around here. So let me do that. All right. I'm going to get a different piece of paper that's got a little bit of a warp in there. Yeah, the paper was kind of warped. I think I might have cleaned the table, and then when I was cleaning it, it was wet, and the paper touched it, and so it kind of warped the paper a little bit. So I'll just get a new piece really fast here.
Why is it 30 seconds later?
Well, there's just a slight delay in what I'm doing and then what shows. That's just how the broadcasting works with this. Okay, so there we are. Can you scooch over? Okay, we are going to do our horse. I like to start with the main area where things are all connecting, which is our torso. Which is kind of an oval shape or like a potato shape. So here we go. I'm just going to lay that in. It's kind of diagonal, a little bit diagonal like this. It's going to be about this big, right? Something kind of like this. Probably a little bigger in the front, a little smaller in the back. We've got a perspective happening here. You can see the belly is a little kind of creeps in like this. This is where the leg would kind of be over here. Okay. Give you guys a little bit of time to get that in. Seems like our lighting is pretty good here. And remember that this is just sort of a way to get started. This is not our finished thing. This is getting it in just so we can get an idea of how things are going to fit on our page. So we are also going to do our horse's head next, and then we'll connect it to the neck. You can see that there's almost like a full width of the body between the head and the body itself. So the head's going to be kind of like up here. It's a little bit to the left, and it's kind of almost like a teardrop shape, but it doesn't come to a point. It's bigger on this end here, and then it's going to kind of come to a smaller point. Not a point, but like a rounded side like this. And I'm going to do just a little measurement. The head is about almost, it's just a little bit less than a full length. So this should actually be almost the same size as the whole body. Just a little smaller. So maybe more like this. That's because he's coming out towards us. His neck, you can see, is going to fit in right like this.
You grab a different eraser.
Fits maybe more like that. And then, I mean, the neck really comes and meets the body really far back. I'm guessing something kind of like this. Definitely draw kind of soft if you can, so it's easy to erase. We can already start to make some changes. This is sort of like a smile down here, and then you can see how this sort of forms the snout. Mouth is like right in here. We're just trying to make a little bit of a contour drawing, just the edges for now, and then we'll start getting into the shading and that sort of thing. You can see, like, it would be the middle of the chest. It's not the middle of the chest. I guess it's got to be a little more like that. It's going to be off a little bit to the right, but you can see there's like this split that happens here. And then this muscle comes in here. And the leg comes right out. And we'll just do a real simplified. It's almost like a long triangle. And let's see, the height of the body. The legs are just a little longer than the height of the body, so you can sort of measure. Here's the height of my body. That's about as long as you want it. At the end, they kind of flare out, and then you just want to round them off at the bottom. There's one. So I'll wait for you guys to catch up. Sorry, I kind of got carried away there. We can always come in and erase lines that we don't need. Well, so Zora's saying her neck is too fat. So what happened with Zora's is her head is not far enough in front. She put the head right on top of where the body is, but if you look at the image, you can see that the head is actually going to be kind of more over here. Like this. Yeah, it's very tricky to, kind of position things correctly. You got to really keep an eye on things. Just sort of figuring that part out there. We're going to get our next leg in just a second. Hi, Margie. I see you there. I see you, Melody. Glad you guys are joining me. The other legs are going to be very similar. Again, it starts kind of big at the top here, and then it's going to be just this ever narrowing sort of cylinder, I guess we could think of it as. And then in this one, you can really see how it sort of has this weird heel thing that comes out, and then it comes down to, maybe I guess you could consider that the ankle, is that? Instead of a heel. I don't know all the technical names. I definitely don't know the anatomy of a horse that well. So this is all kind of new to me. I've done horses. I've definitely painted horses. You can see that his right front leg there is a little bit higher up than the one next to it. That means it's a little further behind. Kind of like that. This has a big, kind of hump that comes out here, a big muscle. Not quite that much, more like that. You can really see how kind of the musculature fits. There's sort of these muscles that kind of meet right here above the leg. All right. All right. So the name of the horse is Stika, according to Melody, who brought us this image, shared this image with us. I'm so happy to be making it with you guys. All right, let's get one of these back legs in. You can see it is going to kind of start right over here, and then again, I guess I think of it sort of, you have the upper part of the leg, which again is going to kind of be like a triangular shape, but not coming down to a point, coming down to a knee, where it kind of bulges out a little bit. And then you got the lower part of the leg, which gets skinny. This is not quite right. This all has to be a little bit higher. Because the end of the foot, you can see in the picture, kind of matches up with the knee. The knee on this guy is going to be right about here. So that means the hoof in the back, it's going to be even a little bit above there. It's going to be like right here. That's going to be the end of the foot, or the hoof. So then we come to that ankle. you've got the lower part of the leg, and then this is where it got screwy with me. You've got a sort of a bump here for the knee, and then it kind of bulges out again. And then it bulges out again to about there, and then you've got the rump, kind of like that. Maybe it's got to be a little smaller, because this kind of comes out and then goes up like that and comes behind.
Why is so tiny?
Well, perspective is a weird thing. It really does. Things get so much smaller as they go back in space, and it's way more than you think it's going to be. It gets way smaller, way quicker than you think. The other leg, you can see, comes down a little bit lower, right by the knee, right about here. So you can see, sort of like right where the neck meets here, that's where it comes down. And it looks like we're right at the knee. And then it's going to come down to that ankle. And then down to the foot. But it's really just kind of this long tube that comes down, and then you can add on those knees. It's kind of stepping forward here, isn't it? A little more like that. This is a little bit out of proportion, I think, but not terrible. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's tricky because the legs are coming from all kinds of different directions. You wouldn't expect it. So Z is saying that hers looks a little weird. So let's take a look. Again, you can kind of see in hers, she's having a little hard time placing things where they belong. So, for example, this leg here probably needs to be moved over to here, Z.
It does?
Yeah, it needs to be moved over. It's you need to leave like a little space between the legs. Just a little space. You have too small. This is where your space is over here. You can see in the image that, you just have them a little bit too close together. So that's got to be moved over. And then if this guy should be coming out around here. Yeah. And then this guy is pretty good. He just needs to be a little bit longer. Like that. Your body's a little bit long here, but I think you can salvage it. Okay? This is good. Just move this leg over. Okay? Ha. We're not doing antlers, Mom. This is a horse. If you look into the event for this, the event page, which is on my same Darren Cohen artist profile page, you'll see the event for today, and then you can find the horse there. Then you can open a new window, and look up Facebook there, and then find my video again. That would be the way to do it, if you haven't found it yet. Jules, glad you made it. So it's coming together pretty good, I think. Might be a little bit off, but we're just using this amazing picture as reference. We don't have to copy it exactly. I can see there's sort of this muscle that comes in there. We've got the tail coming between the legs. And kind of whipping the back of these legs here. Even a few little stray strands coming out the side there. I'm not quite happy with the angle of my head. I'm going to angle this part down a little more. And then I do like this angle. But it's got to come down just a little bit. There we go. Kind of like that. It's feeling a little better. I think you just keep going with yours, Z. I'm still going to try to get mine as close as I can to the original. But you guys should feel free to, change it up if you want to. But that's feeling like a little bit of a better angle for me. I'm going to start in on the ears, which are kind of like triangles. He's turning his head, so you've got one ear that kind of comes like this, and then the other ear's poking off this way. It's got kind of like a parenthesis on this side, and then still a parenthesis, but a more, you're kind of creating this curved triangle. Should be a little smaller than this other ear. I'm going to make this guy a little bigger. Because that's the one that's actually in front. So I can erase that line there.
That looks like a devil.
It does look a little bit like a devil, but that's how the ears are. Okay, the eye. You can see it's right in the front here. I'm going to create the upper brow, which is going to be like a frowny mouth, like that. Ooh, maybe a little lower than that. This is going to kind of come down like this. The brow comes out beyond it just a little bit. And then the eye, you kind of see fits in here. It's almost like it is kind of still a leaf shape. It's going to be, again, a frowny mouth on top. And then sort of a smile underneath that kind of comes in like this, looks like. And then we have the under, kind of like that. I guess this is the bridle that comes across here. This might be a little long, so I'm going to just shorten it just a little. Okay, the nose is just like a little slit right here. And then you can even make another little line underneath it. And then down here is our mouth. It's just going to be another little line, just like that. This is a little more like a smile here. Just a slight one. Okay. There's this rope that kind of cuts across underneath. And fastens like behind the eye and below the ear, right there. And then you can kind of see this other rope comes up here and gets lost in the mane. The mane. I'm gonna start here, and I can see these hairs come over just like this. And then there's a little bit here, and I see a big tuft that kind of comes like this, and these other tufts that kind of come like this. I'm kind of thinking of these again as like these long triangular shapes, or you can even just, make individual lines, but I like to kind of group it into strands. You can see there's just some kind of wispy guys up in here. And then coming over the front. And then we also see just a few popping out kind of like this. Oh, I don't think that looks weird. I think your head is a little small, and your eye should be up a little higher. But I think you have a nice one. Here's Zora's horse. It's looking pretty good, I think. Not bad at all. I mean, how often do you draw a horse? You ever drawn one?
No.
Nope, you never drawn one. So that's the thing. It takes a little bit of practice. The anatomy is not that easy. I think this ear needs to be moved over just a tad.
I need the pupil. Looks odd.
Okay. I can see there's like where the neck meets right here. There's this line. All right. So I am going to make our horizon, which you can see comes out right about here, like that. It's a little slanty, but see, I can already see that it's positioned a little bit strange for me, but that's all right. So this looks like there's a little mountainous range here in the back. And then we've got our sort of our water back here. You got some bushes. Like this. And I'm going to leave off the tie, the lead, I guess you'd call that. I'm going to leave that off. We can get into the sand and things like that, but I want to go back into our horse and start to detail it out a little bit, maybe start to do some shadows. I can see that starting in the back here, there's like this little area that sort of is a little, forms a little bump, a little muscle there. I can see there's sort of a muscle that comes in here around his rib cage. Yes, horses are hard, but it's okay. It's still, I'm having a good time with it. It's not that easy, but at the end of the day, it's pretty much a potato shape, and then you've got a sort of, I don't know what you'd call that shape. Like I said, kind of a teardrop shape, and then the neck, and then the legs. You put them in the right spots. Here's the knee, so this would be a little bit above that. And then this leg is going to come in here, be a little lower, and then the tail. And then we have our ears. Here's our eye. Here's our nose. Mane. Right? So it's not that, I started adding in a lot of detail probably sooner than I should have. I should have kept things a little more simple when I was showing it. But I was just having so much time, so much fun creating it. Zora added a little crab to hers. Says, "Don't eat me." I don't think horses will eat a crab. So let's continue. I just can see that it has some spots, so I want to get those. There's this one on his neck here. And then there's this guy that starts on his neck. And then it kind of wraps around his body behind his leg here. And then it kind of just goes on to his neck, right up like that. That's what it looks like to me. Little one on his side over here before you get to his, like his rear haunch there. It's going to be right in here. Oh, and then of course his white legs, or her white legs. Hard to tell. Above the knee. And then right above the knee back here. Beautiful horse. This leg stays kind of lighter. Still trying to get it kind of more right, but that's pretty good. Now we can start to shade. I can see very dark. I'll start with the very dark areas right in here. Remember that it's pressure sensitive. So the harder, I can see a big dark spot right over here. The harder you press, the darker your mark. There's a little more mane here. Kind of stops being so dark once you get over to here. So that's a gradual sort of transition from very dark into, light, a little bit lighter, not quite as dark. But definitely the bottom edge of the head is pretty dark. It's a little dark area here. You got to create, leave some areas for the light because they're definitely there. You can see there's like from underneath the eye, it's a little darker. Underneath the sort of the lower eyelid, I guess. And then you kind of have this nice line that comes down like this. Oh, he's got a little white on his snout too, doesn't he? Definitely dark at his brow, and then that kind of comes down, goes across, and then you've got a sort of a dark line that comes down. So I'm just finding all these dark shadows, making it a little darker, and then leaving the areas around them a little lighter. You need to have enough contrast where you can see it. You can see it's light right around our nostril, so I'll leave that. A little light around the mouth. The eye has a hot spot that's going to stay light, but then the rest of it is dark. The ear is dark where it meets the head, and then gets a little bit lighter towards the edges. The mane is lighter than the hide around it. So looks like there's a little bit of mane coming in through here. But you can continue to just keep, shading it in, keep the lighter areas lighter. You have to create contrast, enough contrast that you can see those lighter areas. But that's actually looking pretty good. I like it. Just going to continue down. Always looking at my reference, trying to make sure that I'm not overdoing it. You can see there's like this dark little V right in here. And then on this side of it, it's going to stay lighter. It's going to get dark again, but there's a light little strip there where the muscle is. And then same thing here. I'm going to leave a little strip of light there. Add into the white, there are these little tiny splotches of dark that come in there. Jules likes your creativity. Oh, she's written more stuff on hers, so we'll have to look at it before the end here. One thing you can definitely do is if you just Well, I don't want to add too much around the hooves yet, because that's a whole other little project. I can see my tail is really a shadowy thing back here, so I'm going to color that in dark. And then, like, the mane is dark right towards the head, but then it lightens up quite a bit. This ear is kind of dark towards this edge and then lightens up as it comes forward. Okay, a little bit of shading going on around this white area. All right, let's do some of our darks down here. Here's a little more dark. One thing is, and I say this probably every time, is that if you practice, you're going to get better at this. This is all practice for me too, because I don't usually, if you look at my paintings, I don't render things super realistic all the time. So this is also practice for me. The more I do it, the better I get. I've really used a lot of this time of not working, trying to improve myself in lots of different ways. Lots of exercise, and bringing out my daughter with me and going for walks in the morning. And I mean, I'm staying in good shape in that regard. And then I started playing piano again, and I probably hadn't really played in almost, seriously sat down probably in a couple of years. So that has been really cool to get back into that, and to also see how I improve. I keep getting better, and it makes me feel like I could really do anything if I put my mind to it. And that is an empowering feeling. So hopefully, as you continue to do more of this type of thing, you will find it empowering to know that if you did it with this, you could probably do it with just about any activity that you decided you wanted to be better at. Okay. So this is very dark over here. It's a different kind of dark, right? Because this is on a very light part of the horse. Here's the hoof. A little bit darker. Here's how I would handle the where the foot meets. Definitely right around it. You're gonna want to make it dark, because that's like casting a little shadow, even though what you have is a little indentation, and you might get a little bit of light around it where the sand pushes up. I think that's we'll start it that way at least. This is going to be very dark, and this is the dark area right in here. And and then it's going to lighten up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to have enough time to completely finish, but that is okay. All right. Oh, I didn't see on the rear here, there's actually a little white area. Also, kind of splits. It's definitely a little darker here, but I want to leave a little bit of a light edge on that. Same thing over here. Light edge, but then it gets kind of dark. All right. You can also, do it kind of mostly the same and then go back in and add in some darker areas. It definitely lightens up around the belly. And I can kind of see this rib indentation here and another one there. This is going to be real dark in here and then a little bit light. And then, yeah, things got a little wacky over here. It's just not quite anatomically correct, but it's not terrible. All right. Thanks, Mel. I see your comment there. This has been fun for me. I know I haven't been super talkative. I've really been concentrating on trying to get this right, honestly, but also I'm like, I don't know, drained in some ways, I guess. But this lifts my spirits, makes me feel good. I'm glad that there's some of you guys out there that are sharing this, working with me, and that it's fun for you guys. I'm gonna keep doing them. The next one will be on Monday. I'm tempted to do another watercolor because people have the materials. I would like to bust into some oil pastels at some point, but I'm thinking maybe just one more watercolor. I did get some cool images, but obviously, if you guys want to contribute more and give me more options, I'm all for it. Let's see. I'm just going to do a little bit of how I would deal with the beach here. You can see that there are these lines where dark meets light, so that would be like one of them. So on this side, it's going to be very dark right up next, not very dark, but darkest right up next to that line, and then blending out like this. And then the next one you can see would be like right here. And then there's one right here too, small one. And then same thing, darkest right here, and then lightening as we move away from that edge. Right? And then you'd have another one. Same thing. And little by little you start to create these dunes. Kind of like little, wind-blown dunes. You can see that like each of the tracks that are in there, whatever made those tracks, is it's got a little bit of highlight around it. So for example, there's like one right in here. So you'd make your dark indentation, and then around it is going to be a little bit lighter because it pushes the sand up, like so. That's why around the hooves you get these sort of raised light areas. So like right in front of the hoof you have this light area, and then it kind of gets dark as it comes down. Or lightens, and then lightens up, right? Here's another one that comes out from here. Your plants in the background, you can just kind of, pretend that you've got these sort of vertical type things. Maybe they've got little things sticking out the side, and you're just going to put them in there and build up your density. Maybe down low it's just very dark down here. We don't even have to make any texture, but as we go up we want to make a little more texture. Maybe it's a little darker right in here. This I'm just going to color in like this. This is definitely darker back here, right? Sky is very light. You can see I kind of left a little light area around the nose here, like a little reflected light. We just don't want to lose the edge. And that's the idea. These are going to get smaller and closer together as you keep moving back. Right back here, it's just going to be this type of thing. Always a little darker towards that top edge. And then getting bigger and more detailed as you move forward. So Margie asks what pencil type I would recommend. So for your lighter stuff, you're going to want to use your H's. So like your H would be good for sketching it in and just getting it on there and having it be light. And then you've got like your 2B and your 6B and your 8B. So the bigger the number, the more of that type of thing it is. So for example, the 8B would be your absolute darkest pencil, would give you blacks. It would be very soft, and it would be very easy to put it onto your paper. The H's, again, the higher the H, the softer the pencil, or the harder the pencil, and the lighter the mark. You have to press much harder to get a darker mark. So I think that I would start with the H, and then I would steadily get darker, and that's how I would work it, because it's hard to get off, hard to erase when it's dark, but it's easy to erase when it's light. So we're kind of coming down to the end of our time together, and Zora has long since bailed out. Why don't I just show what her piece ended up being, because she got kind of creative with it. So she has her horse, and it says, don't eat me, is what the crab is saying. And then the horse says, I don't eat crabs. And it says, then the crab is saying, oh, thank goodness. And then the horse says, but my owner can eat you if you want. And the crab says, no. So she made it a little comic relief for us. I love the little beard on the crab. It's kind of got like a beatnik sort of vibe going. Very nice job. I will post these. Zora just came back, so we will say our goodbyes. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. We will make more art on Monday. I'll choose an image, and we'll go from there. I'll put a event page together for you. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we love you. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.